introducing you to the fascinating world of Yoruba land, the homeland of the Yoruba people, with a population of 46 million, making them one of Africa's largest ethnic groups. In modern-day Nigeria, they stand as one of the three major ethnic groups alongside the Hausa and Igbo. The Yoruba's historical legacy boasts the creation of one of West Africa's most extensive empires and the production of humanity's finest art. Their artistic talents have garnered worldwide recognition, and their cultural impact is evident in the Americas and the Caribbean, primarily through the spread of Santeria and Candomblé religions. Delving deeper into the realm of Yoruba land, we explore its geography and cultural diversity. Stretching across southwestern Nigeria, Benin, and Togo, Yoruba land boasts major cities like Ilorin with 1 million people, Ibadan with 3.8 million, and Lagos, Iko, with a whopping 15 million inhabitants. The region showcases a varied landscape, from dense tropical forests and mangroves in the south to rugged highlands and Guinea savanna in the north. The wildlife includes the Mona monkey, African forest elephant, leopards, the adorable Senegal bush baby, and parrots with significant roles in Yoruba history. The language of the Yoruba people, Yoruba, is spoken by approximately 47 million individuals and represents a tonal language like Chinese. The tone utilized in Yoruba significantly influences the meaning of a word. An interesting aspect of the language is whistled Yoruba, which allows communication over long distances. The Yoruba also employ the talking drum to pass down their history orally from generation to generation. With the arrival of Islam in the 14th century from Mali, the Yoruba adopted Ajami, a form of Arabic script, as their writing system. Subsequently, Christian missionaries introduced the Latin alphabet in the 19th century, and Yoruba is now primarily written using this script. The Yoruba's cultural value on greetings, kind questions, and showing respect is evident in their language and daily interactions. Taking a journey through history, we discover the ancient Yoruba civilization, which settled in West Africa's thick forests around 4,500 years ago. These early Yoruba speakers cultivated yams and oil palms, contributing to the development of their rich culture. Their history was primarily preserved through oral traditions and archaeology, showcasing the prominence of the Yoruba civilization in various locations. The Yoruba possess multiple creation stories, and one version speaks of Olodumare, the supreme god, sending Obatala to create the earth. Using a snail shell filled with dirt, a palm nut, and a chicken, Obatala descended to earth and spread the continents, resulting in the beginning of life. Another version tells of Obatala initially forming little clay figures that eventually became the first humans. However, Obatala's inability to complete the creation led to Oduduwa stepping in to finalize it, culminating in the Yoruba calendar based on a 4-day week. Around the 700s BCE, the Yoruba's advancement in ironworking was a monumental development, surpassing bronze production, which puzzled historians for years. This skillful use of iron tools, like hoes, machetes, and axes, enabled the Yoruba to clear dense forests, expand settlements, and promote trade. The Yoruba's belief in Ogun, the god of iron and blacksmiths, reflected the significance of iron in their culture. The transition from thick forests to thriving farmlands resulted in the unification of separate towns, forming ELU, akin to city-states. This transformation marks a pivotal moment in Yorubaland's history, showcasing the Yoruba's innovative and creative spirit in shaping their civilization. The urban center of Yorubaland revolved around the Ifen, the grand palace of the Oba, king, situated adjacent to the primary market known as Ojaoba. This layout influenced the entire city's development. The Yoruba people emerged as one of the most urbanized groups in ancient Africa, fostering a diverse community of skilled artisans such as blacksmiths, weavers, sculptors, and various other specialized craftsmen. These master artisans of metal, stone, clay, and wood would journey between different elus, settlements, in search of work opportunities. The market held a central role in Yoruba society, meticulously organized with guilds and unions that welcomed both men and women's participation. Women played a special role in trade and commerce, with at least one elected Ialoja, the mother of the market, representing the traders' interests in the Oba's palace. The Yoruba engaged in extensive trading along the trans-Saharan and West African trade routes, exchanging commodities such as yams, salt, iron, herbs, leather, palm oil, palm wine, raffia products, textiles, and the kola nut, which interestingly was an ingredient used in the original Coca-Cola, alongside cocaine. Most Yoruba cities boasted multiple shrines and meticulously maintained gardens, protected by massive mud walls. Notably, Queen Belekisi Sumbo's settlement, Sumbo's Eredo, constructed around 1000 CE, featured an impressive 160-kilometer wall and ditch system. This massive engineering project required moving around 3.5 million cubic meters of earth, surpassing the construction efforts of the pyramids and covering an area approximately 50% larger than modern London. Although hidden by centuries of rainforest growth, Sumbo's Eredo now stands as one of the remarkable African engineering feats, alongside the pyramids, Timbuktu's mosques, and Great Zimbabwe. However, the serene existence of these settlements was interrupted by the arrival of Oduduwa in the 10th century. As a leader from one of the smaller settlements near Ife, Oduduwa initiated a war, leading to death, destruction, and chaos. The chiefs of Ife, witnessing Oduduwa's successes, sent the drunken king Obatala to negotiate peace, but to no avail. Ultimately, the people sided with Oduduwa, making him the victorious king of Ife. As ruler, Oduduwa established the necessary political hierarchy, structure, and bureaucracy to govern a city of Ife's size. The names Obatala and Oduduwa hold significance in Yoruba religion as they were deified, becoming Orishas, alongside other remarkable individuals, throughout the centuries after their time. The organized and prosperous city of Ife attracted immigrants, resulting in a population of around 100,000 by 1300. Ife's artisans produced highly valued goods such as iron and glass, and the city became renowned for its extraordinary art, including the intricately naturalistic Yoruba stone and metal sculptures crafted between 1200 CE and 1400 CE. Oduduwa, a wise ruler, decided to ensure a peaceful succession by giving each of his heirs a beautiful beaded crown and sending them away to establish their own kingdoms. One of his grandsons, Oranmiyan, traveled to the far northwest borderlands of Yoruba, guided by a snake, and founded the city of Oyo. Unlike Ife, Oyo was situated in a Guinea savanna, a perfect location for farming and conveniently located between the Trans-Niger and Trans-Saharan caravan routes. During the 16th century, Oyo transformed into a powerful empire with the use of imported horses, a remarkable feat considering the presence of disease-carrying tsetse flies in tropical Africa. The Oyo managed to tax trade routes and produce valuable goods, enabling them to afford horses imported from North Africa over the scorching Sahara Desert. With cavalry forces and reputedly the best bowmen in Africa, the Oyo Empire conquered vast territories. The Elephant of Oyo was the title bestowed upon the Emperor of Oyo, and contrary to popular belief, the position did not always pass from father to son, nor was it always reserved for males. The Oyo Messi, a council of 7 chiefs, elected the Elephant from a pool of princes. The Basharan or Prime Minister led the Oyo Messi, representing the empire's interests and ensuring the Elephant did not become a tyrant. The Oyo Messi's power was balanced by the Arboni, a council of chiefs, and the Eso, a group of high-ranking generals. Intriguingly, the Oyo Messi maintained checks on the Elephant's power through a symbolic ritual. In cases of poor governance, the Oyo Messi would vote, and the Basharan would present an empty calabash to the Elephant, signifying rejection by the people, gods, and earth, prompting the Elephant's ritual suicide. By the mid-18th century, the Oyo Empire stood as the largest empire in West Africa, possessing a prosperous and urbanized society linked to international markets and benefiting from tribute paid by conquered kingdoms. However, the size of the empire also brought significant challenges, including ambitious plots like the one by Basharin Gaha, who conspired with the Oyo Messi to seize power and manipulated several successive Alifans to commit ritual suicide. Gaha's scheme persisted for 20 years until his execution by Alifan Abayadin in 1774. As European arrivals saw human trafficking along the coast in the 15th and 16th centuries, the demand for slaves surged, causing problems for the Yoruba. Unlike many other states, Yoruba land had limited export of enslaved people from 1500 to 1750, and only convicted hardened criminals were legally enslaved. Additionally, the Yoruba rarely engaged in wars with other Yoruba, maintaining peace that kept their people off European slave ships. However, by the late 18th century, the Oyo's peaceful era came to an end as they expanded their territories and became involved in the slave trade, which also resulted in internal revolts and pressures from a Fulani invasion from the north. The empire cracked, and the resulting implosion of Oyo left its people vulnerable to raids by neighboring societies like Dahomey and Nupe. So while kings and generals got rich off of slavery and the greed of nobles brought the empire to its knees, it would be the average Yoruba that paid the price. Yoruba captives poured into the Atlantic slave trade in the first quarter of the 19th century. The collapse of Oyo led to 8 decades of warfare that devastated Yoruba land, leaving them wide open for, you guessed it, imperialism. Loud explosion gasps and Irish, it's the British again. In 1851, Britain bombarded and sacked the Yoruba city of Lagos. Before the turn of the century, most of West Africa was under either British or French rule. The 19th century saw Christian missionaries arrive and convert millions of Yoruba to Christianity, sending the Yoruba religion into decline. All of the different peoples living in this area were merged together into the new colony and protectorate of Nigeria, which was run by British companies who forced the people to grow massive amounts of palm oil needed to fuel Britain's Industrial Revolution. It wasn't until 1960 that the Union Jack was lowered and the flag of newly independent Nigeria took its place. Diaspora. The transatlantic slave trade dragged millions of Yoruba men, women, and children away from their homeland and forced them to build and maintain the economies of the New World. Around 12% of all enslaved people brought to Cuba were of Yoruba origin, and in Brazil, they made up about 40% of the people sold in the state of Bahia. Those who survived the horrific journey across the sea arrived in the Americas with nothing. While you can take people away from their culture, you can never take the culture away from the people. Most enslaved people had to convert to Christianity, but the Yoruba reinterpreted Catholic saints as representations of Yoruba orishas. For example, the Virgin Mary was seen as the Orisha Yemanja, mother of all orishas and goddess of rivers and oceans. When religions mix and form a new religion, it's called religious syncretism. The enslaved Yoruba created something distinct from both Catholicism and the Yoruba religion in Africa. In Brazil and Uruguay, it became Candomblé and Umbanda, and in the Caribbean, it became Santeria or Lucumi. Yoruba words are still used during rituals in these religions, even though the practitioners no longer speak Yoruba. On the 2nd of February in Brazil and Uruguay, you can still observe the Yemanja festival, where people send her gifts on boats sent into the sea. Yoruba drums like the bata drum and talking drums can be heard in Afro-Latin and Caribbean music, and capoeira practice in Brazil, and in reggae and hip-hop. Yoruba music has deeply influenced African and international music. Fela Kuti was one of Nigeria's most famous musicians and activists and was one of pioneers of Afrobeat music. Food traditions traveled with Yoruba to the Americas. In Brazil, a little cake called acarajé became the first intangible heritage recognized in the country. Acarajé was sold on the streets by African women called baianas. They were easily recognized by their distinctive clothing, and you can still see references to these women in Brazilian carnival, where they spin for hours in their heavy costumes. Acarajé is a version of Yoruba akara, made of mashed black-eyed peas rolled into a ball and deep-fried in palm oil. Speaking of food, Food. Yoruba cuisine involves starchy meals such as cassava, yams, or plantain pounded in massive mortars until they get a little elastic and form a sort of cake or ball. Varieties of this are called eba or ayan and are eaten alongside soups and stews. The Yoruba are known for their love of spice and chili peppers. Seriously, other Nigerians are in awe of Yoruba spice tolerance. One Yoruba saying is the soul that does not eat pepper is a powerless soul. Some Yoruba favorites are okra soups, ofada rice, umla, ifo riro, and egusi soup, and while this will destroy the comment section, some say that the Yoruba might make the best jollof rice. Religion. The traditional Yoruba religion is called E. There is one supreme God, Olodumare, who lives in the highest heaven. He's pretty distant and is busy with godly stuff, so on earth, he acts through the, at least, 401 gods or orishas. Some orishas are Ogun, the orisha of iron, Eshu, the trickster orisha of chance, and also the divine messenger, Ashin, the female orisha of fertility, Na, the orisha of smallpox and healing, who is very popular in the Americas where they are called Babaluai, and Shango, the orisha of lightning and thunder. Shango is another example of a real historical king becoming an orisha. Each believer and family will have a particular orisha that they feel most connected to. Yoruba religion is deeply moral. One key concept is omaliawabi, which means good character. One must be honest, humble, and respectful, especially towards elders. A Yoruba proverb says one's character is what accompanies one to the grave. Wealth does not go that far. The Yoruba are known for their love of parties and festivals who never miss a chance to host a fun event. Yoruba will throw a party to celebrate the success of the previous party. Yoruba weddings are a carnival of high fashion, dancing, huge guest lists, drumming, unique greetings, and of course spraying money on the bride and groom. Today, roughly 90% of Yoruba are either Christian or Muslim. The Yoruba are a fairly unique ethnic group in Africa, as they are almost split 50-50 between being Christians and Muslims. Families can have members of both religions, and Yoruba tend to be less extreme on religious issues in Nigeria. A large number of Yoruba people continue to practice their traditional religions through festivals like the Gelid, focused on the great ancestral mothers. During the festival, the dance themselves are performed by men, masquerading as elaborately costumed male and female figures, and during this festival, you'll hear go-go bells, sakir, and talking drums. During the Egungun festival, Yoruba worship dead ancestors as masked individuals impersonate the dead, and during the Osun-Osogbo festival, the city is cleansed. Fashion. The Yoruba are a fashionable people that take immense pride in their well-made, colorful clothing. One of the oldest traditions is the use of indigo dye to make a patterned cloth called a dyer, dating back to at least the 11th century. Another very traditional Yoruba textile is the aso-oke. The technique was created around the 15th century, and today it's still used for special occasions and ceremonies like weddings. Some traditional clothing includes the women's iro, a kind of wrap skirt, and the buba, the blouse, and the men's wear agbada, a robe, and sokoto, trousers. And let's not forget the very important matching headpieces worn for both men and women. The men's cap is usually the fila, but it is the women's headpiece, the geli, that steals the show. It is made from a long piece of cloth draped in a particular way and wrapped around the head. Of course, the looks wouldn't be complete without beads, usually necklaces and bracelets. The Yoruba are bead people. They love beads. Beads in the crowns, beads in their body, beads on the walls, beads everywhere. Legend says that the walls of the King Oduduwa's palace were encrusted with beads. Though the palace didn't survive to our time, the tradition of giving relief to walls was very strong and is still done today. Today, all around the world, millions of Yoruba people, most of them still living in West Africa, but also millions of descendants of those brought to the Americas and modern Yoruba that have moved abroad, fight to keep all their traditions alive. Today you'll find Yoruba greeting the world with their vibrant food, culture, music, and fashion.